On this episode of the Real Life Caddie podcast, recent guest Eddie Olsen fills in for a sick Mike Szabo. We also welcome back an old friend from last year, fellow caddie, wee Chris from Phoenix. Regulars will remember that Chris accompanied me to LIV Portland last year, and he's back in town to teach some kids the game of golf. He's also trained up to carry bags at the resort. Chris discusses what's involved in the golf camps before we all discuss the pros and cons of resort caddying versus country club caddying. We then tell a few caddie stories, of which the highlight has to be how I pranked a lady golfer by convincing her we'd met before, but in fact we hadn't. It was all part of a very naughty plan set up by her boyfriend. We turn our attention to some very good mailbag questions before giving out some shoutouts. If you've any feedback or questions, please email us, podcast@glorifieddonkey.com, or contact us on social media. If you're new to the podcast, why not go back and listen to some or all of the previous episodes, and make sure and check out our podcast sponsor, Big Game Golf. Thanks for listening, and we really hope that you enjoy this episode. Welcome to another episode of the Real Life Caddie podcast. This one, I think it's number 116, it's 117, not quite sure. I'm joined by Steady Eddie.
Yo.
You made a quick return from your last appearance on the show.
Good to be back.
Yeah, you're replacing Szabo because he's not well.
He's irreplaceable, but nice to fill in.
I don't know, he caught something in Disneyland, I think. I think he caught something in Disneyland. We're also joined with wee Chris. Whee!
It's been since Jerry Lou's house in Bandon Dunes after the first LIV golf event in the United States in Portland. It's been a while.
I was going to say to you, it's exactly 364 days since you were on the podcast.
A lot has happened since then.
You're back in town, Chris. Why are you back in town? You were doing some Nike camps?
Yep, I'm getting away out of the Arizona heat for the summer. I'm up here for a couple months. There's a couple golf camps I'm helping instruct. Mm-hmm. In between the camps, I'm doing some caddying, so I got a little time off.
How does it work? You do, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off?
Yep.
It's like working the rigs?
Yeah, 2 weeks on, 3 weeks off, 2 more weeks back on. The kids arrive on a Sunday afternoon. Then they're with us all day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they depart Thursday afternoon. So the kids range from like 12 to 18 years old. Mm-hmm. And for this location, it's like more of an advanced camp, so it's not just your parents saying, hey, go learn golf for a week. And these are kids that have maybe some established handicaps, play on like their high school team or would like to, and have maybe aspirations of playing in college golf or beyond it. We not always get the best kids, but maybe we can get a kid that's like 13 that hasn't played much golf, and then you have right next to him a 17-year-old. He plays on his high school team, wants to play in college, so you kind of have to feed both of those and make sure everyone has a good camp. But
how many kids in the camp?
There's about 25 kids a week.
Ooh.
Yeah, and we're with them all day. So these kids have maybe been out of school for a couple of weeks already. We have wake-up calls at 6 o'clock. That's very difficult.
For you or for them?
For both. Breakfast at 7. Then we go to the golf course. We do instruction. We have like 4 hours of instruction in the mornings. We'll do like full swing, putting, short game, chipping, lunch. Then we'll go out and play some more golf, back to the hotel, nap, and do it again.
Really?
So it's just
4 hours. That's a lot. How many hours are these guys playing golf then?
Sun up to sundown. Yep.
8-9 hours a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
What course are you guys at?
We do all of our teaching out of the Pebble Beach Academy. The putting lab in there is pretty awesome. You get to play the little par 3 course a couple of times.
Szabo loves that place.
Yeah. we had 2 quote-unquote hole-in-ones there on the second week.
For the 12-year-olds, maybe it counts.
Yeah.
But how do you see it?
I have one there. I don't really count it.
Thank you.
It's always fun seeing the kids. They come from all over. There's a couple of kids from Cali. Last week we had a kid from Thailand come. We do have like a beach night, so we go to Carmel. So it's not strictly all golf. You can have the kids get to know each other better. We'll play some football, frisbee, volleyball, see if these golfers are actually athletes too. Some of them are.
Bunch of poor kids, I'm guessing, if they're coming from Thailand.
True, yeah, that's maybe just a flight over the pond for them.
Yeah, did you ever do any of that kind of thing, Eddie?
I never did any camps, really. I always just kind of did my own thing. I unfortunately never did. Maybe I'm sure it would have helped, but I could never afford those.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
you couldn't afford to maybe fly to Thailand for the
No,
summer
that was
for 4 days.
I would have loved to.
Some
looking
kids,
back.
so we used to do like 4 weeks on, a week off for 4th of July, then 4 more weeks.
Uh-huh.
There was a kid one year. His parents just left him for a month. So, I mean, you're learning the same shit. So you do the same thing each week.
What do you teach?
Whatever I'm needed. So each week we did I'd either shadow full swing Jeff Ritter. He's the head instructor. He's out at Pronghorn in Bend, Oregon. He's really good coach. Just mentored him for the full swing. Next week I'll go follow whatever coach we've flown in, do some short game in the putting lab. That one's cool. Just seeing a bunch of technology and learn about face balance for your putter. Some of the kids have been learning like aim point.
Oh.
I know that's a little too intense for me.
What do you think about aim point, Eddie?
It's kind of funky, when people do the stepping and the fingers up, the 2, 3, whatever. But I have ingrained the feet thing. You walk, from your line, from your ball up to the hole, just to kind of get a feeling in your feet. And I have incorporated that into my routine, and I find it very helpful. Okay. It's just kind of a reassuring thing to let you know if you're a little unsure. Oh, is it right edge or a ball out? You kind of feel it in your feet and gives you helps you be a little more confident with your read.
Okay.
And I see a lot of people are doing it, especially these kids.
The kids are just copying what they see on TV, surely.
Yeah, I wonder, just seeing like all the people on the road, they just see these golfers just kind of stepping out, putting fingers up, and either is that guy waving at me or is he just kind of?
It's fine to do. I just don't step in my line when you do it, please.
Then any of the kids get under your skin?
The worst thing that you can do is they have to fill out like some health forms. The worst thing is when they just bring a whole stack of papers saying what's wrong with the kid. As far as like, I mean, I know these are kind of like privileged kids, and say if the kid had broccoli once and the parents like, oh, he's allergic to anything that's green. So there was this one incident that we had. This kid like got a gluten and dairy allergy. He's 13, and so for the beach night, we just like bring pizza onto the beach. There's like 6 pizzas, and then there's like 2 personal pizzas for kids that have dietary needs. And I mean, if you're 13 years old, you'd think probably pizza is not for me as far as gluten and dairy and everything. Mm-hmm. Ended up having one of those personal pizzas, thought it was his, called his parents. I'm just shitting bricks over here saying like, oh, this kid's going to blow up or what's going to happen. And and back to like 4 years ago, I wasn't in charge of like the medical bag at this time, but do you guys know where like an EpiPen goes?
Probably the fat part of the body.
So it goes like right in your thigh.
Mm.
So like,
okay.
Luckily we haven't had to use it, but at the time I'm like, all right, well, if the kid can't breathe, I'm going to put it in his fucking neck. So just a shot of adrenaline, but
that can't be easy to do, to stab a kid in the neck.
Well, what happens if you stab him elsewhere?
I don't know. I haven't had to. I don't know if people want to chime in and say, hey, stuck an EpiPen somewhere where it wasn't supposed
Hopefully
to go.
We don't ever have to get to that point.
Any doctors out there that want to send in an email, podcast@glorifieddonkey.com, let us know.
Yeah, I'm CPR certified, but I haven't had to use that either.
That would be funny if you stuck the EpiPen in the wrong place and had to give CPR.
What do you find the most difficult part about teaching these kids? Because these kids are very impatient these days, right? They got their phones, they're attached to them.
Attention spans have just...
Do you mean attention or intention?
Both.
Okay.
They don't intend to hit the correct shot and attention span. Yeah, trying to keep them engaged. If we're talking, we'll usually, for each station, we'll kind of talk about what we're doing for the first little bit, then I'll hit their practice shots, and you see this kid just staring at the birds and just trying to get them really engaged into golf. But, I mean, you can see the kids that are there that want to learn, and then there's some that parents are like, they don't want to be at camp. They want to be elsewhere. Do you
take their mobile phones off them?
No. I mean, usually for some lessons, they'll have their AirPods in, and I mean, I think it starts at home, and I mean, I'm trying to be their coach and get them engaged, and you try and tell them once, and if they don't do it, then I think it's just not going to happen.
You ever met a kid that went on to do some special things, or?
Yeah, a couple of kids have played in Division I golf. I mean, I think they were trying to get away from camp. They were a good kid coming into camp, and then this is just kind of like meeting some friends, and a couple of them follow me on Instagram and see a bunch of those kids are graduating college, played in some Division I places. So pretty cool to see.
And have you seen any progress from people from the beginning, from a Sunday?
Oh,
Thursday,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on Sunday we get we do like a before and after swing, and some of them can be night and day.
Now, I know that you've been actually working at the resort the last couple of weeks as well, because that's what one thing we discussed last year when we went to LIV Golf was actually getting you on the books here. This is the first resort caddying you've ever done, isn't it?
Yep.
What do you prefer?
I'm going to say both. I did write some pros and cons down. If I can...
Please share.
If I can have a little bit of mix of both, tossing every once in a while. So at Westbrook and Scottsdale, the pros I wrote down are, I think it's one of the lowest handicapped clubs in America. There's a bunch of like 24 touring pros that are out there. So the golf's always good. Quick rounds, 4 hours is like long. All the guys are great, and I get to wear a white jumper. I'd take that over a bib any day.
Really?
Yeah.
Why so? Even when it's not hot out, you don't?
I don't
doesn't
care.
bother you?
Nope. I like it. Bunch of pockets. I don't have my bib hanging down.
Well, you're so small though that there's only one size of bib, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
for normal sized humans. The bib's not too bad.
I like to see Big G in the white jumper.
We used to have them out here.
Really?
Yeah, up until 2000. It was when I left. Up until 2008, we had them. I think 2012 they changed.
What would you prefer, Big G?
I'll take the jumper in. Well, depends if I'm going for pints after. I don't want to look like a convict. Now we're wearing shorts. I hate the bib. I'll be honest with you, I hate the bib.
How come? Why does the bib bother you?
It's not practical. I've had pockets put on the back of the bib to try and balance it out. But you start putting things in the bib, and there's nothing worse than putting your hand in a bib and the tee goes up your nail.
God, man, that's the worst.
So,
Or if Big G's on the occasional jog, the rangefinder just slapping down.
I slapped him down on my knee.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Down
you use
there.
rangefinders, Big G? I thought you just told him an arbitrary number, within 10, 15 yards.
Yeah.
If
over
they're-
there.
If they're better than a 10 handicap, they're going to get a number, a proper number. Okay, what would be the... is that all the positives you have?
Cons. I don't know if it is kind of out here. You don't know your schedule till the night before. I think that's really one of the only cons that I can think of. And with there being 2 courses with so many caddies who don't necessarily work every day, which it can be a pro or a con. Mm-hmm. I know out here you can go around a couple times depending on the time of the year. As far as Pebble and resort life, can't beat the views. And this could be a bucket list for some people, so just kind of the energy that you get off people. They're kind of out here for the first time, or it could be someone like their 100th time, but they're kind of tough to be in a bad mood when you're out here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, new relationships. I've gotten a bunch of numbers of people from kind of all over the states playing in the last month or so, and I got offers to go play there, and there's maybe some corporate jobs where they keep coming every year, and it's better than a bench job and knowing that, okay, this person is at least somewhat decent, they pay well, and I usually like to call that the trifecta, which is good golf, entertaining, fun people, and they pay well.
All right.
And in bonus on top if they play fast as well.
What would you, Eddie? What do you prefer?
They're both good, but caddying at a private club, the benefit of that is that you're only playing 4-hour rounds, 4:15, and let's be honest, we don't want to be out there longer than we need to be. I mean, I've enjoyed it. I just started working at the resort this year. I've been over at Monterey Peninsula for on and off since college, so I've developed a lot of relationships with members out there. But generally, the majority of work I get out there is from unaccompanied guests, and like Chris was just saying, people are so ecstatic to be there. And Pebble Beach is Disneyland, Monterey Peninsula is Disneyland plus, because generally there's like I said, it's very fast rounds. There's no one out there. The course conditions are 10 out of 10. For the most part, there's less teaching / coaching out there. One thing I've learned at the resort is that a lot of the players out there are just out there to play because they're coming out with their friends, their family, their son, their daughter, whoever, and they might not necessarily know how to play golf or know the proper etiquette well, so you kind of have to do a lot more coaching out there, which can be a bit exhausting. And so that's... But then again,
I think we have a coaching availability in a couple weeks if you'd like to join us.
Pass. I love when you get on the first tee and the starter comes up and says, "Yeah, guys, we expect a 4.5 hour round." And I'm like, dude,
You
have you
Joe.
seen the course?
Through
It's
what,
like
14
minimum 5.5, 6 hours, dude.
Yeah.
But people are so happy to be out there. Obviously, you run into the occasional group or person who's kind of a malcontent, but overall, seeing the positive energy of people, whether it's Pebble Beach, Spyglass, Monterey Peninsula, Spanish Bay, it's cool to see their happiness. You kind of
Okay. There's only one place for me. It's resort. Love it.
yeah.
Nah.
What are your pros and cons?
Well, the pros and cons is going elsewhere is like a day off.
Yeah.
Fast round, drive to the ball. People in general are not engaging though. They've no interest in you whatsoever because you're there really just because you have to be. It's maybe mandatory if you're a guest to have, or you're a playing guest at a country club, or if you're a member, you know the place, you've been around there 100 times. So you're not really working on merit for money. And the resort stuff is, I don't care how long it takes because you're just out there having a bit of banter. The money's always much better.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? You can't come close to what we can make at the resort. And as I said, the pace of play doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Whenever I go out at the big course, I'm like, hey, I'll be
Expecting
6 hours. If it's under 6 hours, I'm happy.
Yeah.
It doesn't even feel like 6 hours. It feels
doesn't.
like 10 minutes because
It
you're out
doesn't.
there having a great time.
Yep.
Everyone's happy, entertained.
The mixture, the variation.
Mm-hmm.
If you could have a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did start working at the country club, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
You were there the first day.
That's right, I was.
I'll wait till Zabo comes back to start telling those stories because I've worked for a lot of ladies lately,
Uh-huh.
and it was interesting. Myself and Chris, we worked together yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Man Bun had told a story a couple of weeks back or a few episodes ago where he was contacted by two friends of a guy who was going to be playing, and they said, prank him, pretend like you don't know what you're doing, or wind the guy up. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, nice friends. Well, I had this similar thing. Guy called Bill. He's actually from Arizona. He calls me last week. He says, listen, my new girlfriend is playing at the big course on... He gives me the date and the day. And he basically says, listen, ruin her day. That's what I got from it. Give her poor yardages. I'm thinking, well, that might happen anyway. You lose the head cover. And he says... Tell them that people from Arizona are the worst you've ever met. And, and I said to him, like, what, are you talking like the whole round?
No, it's a joke. She'll take it.
It's a joke. She'll take it. She really likes to prank other people. So, and I'm thinking, I don't think I'm feel comfortable doing that for 5 odd hours.
Yeah.
Right.
So I called him yesterday morning. I said, right, give me some information.
A little background info.
Yes. Kids, favourite drink, etc., etc. Where does she play golf? And I start working on it. And I've got to be honest, it was an absolute home run. Chris was with me. He went down, grabbed the bags. I was doing the cart job for the two guys. There was no way I was carrying.
Yeah, Gordon doesn't carry.
It was too hot for me to carry. So I see this lady. He'd sent me a photo of her, so I know what she looks like. She's the last one I meet. And I go down. Her name was Shannon, right? I walk down. I says, Shannon, remember me, right? So I just start playing it off that we've met about 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, at her club in Arizona. And I said, don't you remember? We sat and we were drinking, and I threw out a name of a member. He's not a member, right? I just threw out a name, and she's like, oh, him, yeah. And she actually says, oh, yeah, I remember you. I look at Chris. I'm like, oh, here we go. So
Caught the bait.
so this lady's best friend is walking with them. Okay, so there's two guys, two girls, and then Shannon's best mate is walking. And she's listening and watching this. I said, you don't remember me at all? And she went, no. I says, well, in all fairness, you were drinking hard. And then I roll
Then we
out.
bring up some more background info of what Bill told us.
That's it. I says, old fashions.
Favorite drink.
And all of a sudden, you get this other jolt.
See your friend go, oh, Shannon, what happened
What have
6
you
weeks
been
ago and you
doing?
didn't tell me?
What did we do?
And then I said, you told me you were going to Tuscany and you were going to Lake Como in Italy.
With your kid.
No. I was. Then our pal went with her on those trips. Now both of them are looking at me going, this is freaked me out. Then I threw out the name of her youngest daughter. I went, give her the name. Then I say, oh, she's married to such and such, and freaking her out. I can see the cogs going, and she's starting to look worried because she has no recollection of this. So
Maybe I do know you.
she goes off and she tees off, but I could see that she's uncomfortable, and I'm thinking, oh no, how far do you go with this? Because you don't want to ruin someone's day out here.
Yeah. And by the way, hit hybrid here, not driver.
I went up. I said to her in the middle of the fairway, "So how was Italy?" You know what I mean? And she starts telling me a wee bit about Italy, and then I threw out another couple of pieces that Bill had given me on the second hole, and then the third tee, I went up to her and says, "You don't remember me at all, do you?" And she just looked at me and said, "No." And I says, "Well, it's fine." I says, "I'm going to come clean. We've never met." And I said, "Bill put me up to this." And she's like, "Who's Bill?" I was like, "Your boyfriend." And she was, like, the emotions, she looked really relieved, but raging. Like, absolutely raging. And she didn't really talk to me the next 2-3 holes. Because I think she was just so shocked at the whole thing. Because imagine that. You go for a golf trip, 1,000 miles away. And all of a sudden, this comes out the closet. It was brilliant. And then by the end, I think she
spinning the first couple. Oh,
absolutely spinning.
She's like, "I'm here at Pebble. I'm gonna have the greatest time ever." Now I got a caddy telling me something about me that I don't remember.
She starts worrying because it is, you've been there before, ain't you? Mm-hmm. Too much to drink one night, and then you're like, "What happened? Sorry, huh?"
I think we all have.
Like the hangover. But no, it was good. Did you enjoy your loop?
It was a fun time for sure. And who knows, maybe back in Arizona, maybe we'll come up with a story like that, and it might be true, it might not.
Mm-hmm. I dropped a loop though. There was a guy in the group, and he was just a little bit anal, wasn't he? He was. I don't know if I'd like to work for him, but he was high maintenance. He was very uptight. Basically,
his wife that I was caddying for on hole 2, I haven't seen it before. A 10-yard putt from a fairway was our shot that we chose. You got to carry that bunker. I said, "Yeah, we can clear it. We only have like 110." And then over my shoulder here, "Putt it, 10 yards. You can't clear it. Then you can clear it."
The husband makes his wife putt on the fairway 10 yards to get closer to the ditch because he says she can't get over it. Then she hits the next shot.
Airmails it.
She goes over the green.
Yeah.
Oh,
so straight away we're like, "Oh, this guy, he's a bundle of fun."
Yeah.
He
Bit of a
was on the 6th. I'm running back and forth. Well, okay, I'm not. I'm walking back and forth to the cart with the clubs. I give him the number, and I've got his wedge, and he says, "Oh, I want a 9." I went, "You really? That seems like a lot of club." "No, I want the 9." I go back, get the 9. What does he do?
Over.
Airmails the green. Yeah. He then says,
"You were right."
He actually says, he goes, "You were right in the club." Get to 7. It's playing 90 yards. And I have his 54 and his pitching wedge. I put it in front of him, right? I don't choose the club. Mm-hmm. He chooses the club. Then he hits a shitty shot. It goes in the bunker. And he turns around and he goes, "Oh, caddy got the wrong club." And I'm like, whoa. And I'm just like, whoa, don't try and call me out in this. And then he turns around. You ever seen Scarface? Mm-hmm. He turns around and he's like, "That scene, my little friend,
Say hello to my little friend."
He turns his club towards me and starts going.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
What do you even say to that?
That's what you get for a wrong club.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I think I gave him a mouthful.
Yeah.
Well, I know I gave him a mouthful.
Didn't hear from him for a couple holes.
Didn't speak to him pretty much the rest of the round. He had 2 broom handle putters in the bag.
Oh, jeez.
You know what I mean?
That says everything you need to know about him.
Everything you need to know.
One for the front, one for the back.
Absolutely love the girls.
By the way, for the record, I love caddying for women.
You do?
They are so awesome. The majority of women I've caddied for in my time all play fast, are all
happy-go-lucky?
All very happy-go-lucky, exactly. You don't get the bad mood girls. If they have a bad day, they're all pissed off like a lot of guys can be. The chicks, they just have a ball out there. Most of them like to have a couple cocktails. They play fast.
Yeah, little birdie juice.
Yeah, and easy to caddy for. Driver, hybrid putter. Boom.
We're going to move on now, boys, because I got a lot of positive feedback. I was telling Zabo that people were enjoying the shorter episode. So we're actually, instead of an hour, we're going to try and go for about 45 minutes. So I'm going to play a little message from the Real Life Caddy podcast sponsor, Big Game Golf, and we'll be back with mailbag questions and the rest. 4! Every golfing group has the guy who coordinates the weekly game or the buddies trip. If you're that guy, you'll be very familiar with the pain and frustration scheduling, managing and scoring your game. Why not make your life easier by downloading the Big Game Golf app and start saving time and hassle today? Whether you're a caddy wanting to engage more with your golfers, a pro shop wanting to get out of running the weekly game, or you're that guy wanting to streamline the process, Big Game Golf is here to help you. The app has over 30 games, so there is no need to keep playing the same boring games with your mates week in and week out. The app is also fully integrated with the USGA, so every player's handicap will automatically be incorporated, which saves time and, more importantly, sandbagging. Simply choose your game, keep score, and the app will do all the calculations with live scoring, leaderboards, and contest results. Big Game Golf will even text players their final results. Finally, the creators of the app are open to your feedback, so never hesitate to contact them directly with feedback and ideas. So start improving your golf experience today by downloading the app, Big Game Golf. Wee Chris just reminded me there, if you are not already following Twitter, right, that's the one you want. Instagram, total waste of time. Pretty much done with that platform. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. But Wee Chris did take a couple of photos this week, didn't you?
Yeah, last Tuesday, I think we were the second group off. Had a corporate job, so people were playing those like yellow Spalding Molitor golf balls. So you know you're going to get into a fun day with. They pull a 15 pack for $15 out of their golf bag.
That much?
Yeah,
$15.
I know.
A rip-off.
They started putting some tents around for the U.S. Women's Open, and it shouldn't be an issue for when they're playing, but for the days leading up to it, it's from the tees that we were playing. It was actually almost pretty talented how it was ended up going there. It was just like a medical tent, and there's glass facing the doors, which is
no.
So he ended up hitting one of the windows, and then looks around. First thing of the day, it's like dead silent. There's a couple of people on the tee box, and then he goes, "What they put that there for?" I said, "Why is the glass facing that way?" And then he pulls into his pocket and proceeds to like, "I was just hoping he'd smash the next door on the left." But yeah, so that was how the day started.
Well, we're going to do some questions here, boys. There's one in here that's kind of similar to that. This is pertaining to you, Eddie. You recently had Eddie on the podcast, and he mentioned being red-shirted. What does that actually mean? That's from a Colin Wright, and he's in Norwich, in England. So a lot of listeners are perhaps not American, so they're not knowing what red-shirted means.
Red shirt basically means you are getting an exemption, whether it's, for me, I got a medical exemption because I injured my knee in high school. So I was able to not participate that year in the golf tournament activities. You are on the team. You do everything that the team does. You are just not eligible to play any tournaments, so it took me 5 years to graduate from college, which 5 years in Vegas. I mean, I wanted the extra year personally. But yeah, so my first year I got there. I'm actually glad I did because it took me a little time to acclimate to the college atmosphere and life and being on my own and whatnot. So I wasn't playing well, and my coaches and I discussed maybe a red shirt might be a good thing for me because I got off to a bulky start in college. So I decided to red shirt, which, like I said, means I just wasn't able to play tournaments that year. But for the next 4 years, I was eligible to play as a member of the team.
Gotcha. So basically, when you go to college, you can play a maximum of 4 years.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Where did you go to college?
I went to school in South Texas. It's Texas Pan American. Now it's called Texas Rio Grande Valley. You probably don't know where it is, but then when I'll say it's close to South Padre Island, then you'll probably know. So It's a little bit different from Arizona golf, where hit it high, let it fly. Down there by the coast, 30-mile-an-hour winds every day. Just got to keep the ball super low. So it definitely helps.
Any red shirting?
No red shirting for me, but I mean it's nice that they're kind of implementing that. So I mean, say if you are injured, instead of saying you're shit out of luck for a whole year, you can kind of just say I'm going to red shirt, but I'll still be participating in workouts and everything with the team. You just cheer them on from the sidelines.
Get in my reps.
Yes. Yeah. Get my reps.
Golfers are athletes too.
What would that affect your scholarship then if you didn't get red shirted, or if you were? How does that affect?
No.
Okay. So you basically get 5 years then paid for.
So for me personally, I was able to increase my scholarship later on in my career. So I got X amount my first, right out of the get-go before I signed. And then as I started playing better after my first and second year, I was able to get a little bit more, which was nice. Yeah. Now, I don't think that happens to everyone, but my mother said, if you want to keep my son here, you better Pay up.
Put your hand in your pocket.
That's
okay,
right.
next question. This is from a Graham in Medicine Hat in Alberta.
Oh.
That's Canada, isn't it?
I've been there.
Canada? You have been?
I have been. I played the Canadian tour for a year.
Okay. What is the absolute worst shot you have ever seen as a caddy?
Okay, I'll go. The reason I'll go because this happened the other day. This guy had a hybrid, and he hit it so far off the toe with an open face. I shit you not, the ball went net backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think it almost.
I couldn't believe it. I don't know.
It
I
takes
couldn't do it if I try. It does.
I said it takes talent to hit it.
For that guy who did that, I applaud you for doing that because as a professional golfer, I couldn't do that if I tried. So good on you, mate. Shout out to Alberta.
I've seen, and everyone else that listens in Canada. Keep your chin up.
That's right.
I've seen several. I saw a guy hit the ball into the tee marker ahead of him and it bounced back and nearly broke his jaw.
Oh.
Then I saw somebody hit it up the side of the cart barn at the big course where everyone smokes fags.
Oh my God.
A left-hander. Then I saw a
Shanked
guy.
it.
Yeah,
That's a
he
shank.
shanked.
Yeah.
A left-hander shanked
That's
it.
like 30 yards off the tee box on the left. It's
Straight
hard
up.
to.
Straight up.
Oh man.
Saw a guy stick it in a hotel room.
Oh yeah.
Off the first, and I've mentioned this one before, but the lad stood up with driver in the first, and he had his legs on one side of the tee box and the ball inside. Bernard Langer was the only one I ever used to see do that. You'll see more guys do it now. They're trying to create the angle, and I'm looking at my player and I'm thinking, oh, here we go, interesting. Must be a player. He's got driver. The way he's set up, I'm thinking he's going to probably put it on the green. It's only 340 yards. Yeah. With the line, with the setup, and he looked like he knew what he was doing. He shanked the driver, and it went over the building. And I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't land close to 18. Because he hit it 300 yards just in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Have you guys broken any, or what's the worst shot as far as like
Personally?
you personally broken something or like hurt an animal?
I qualified for the 2020 Farmers at Torrey Pines, and the 8th hole on the north course is a par 3. I believe I was playing there I was playing there the first day, so this is my front nine. 8th hole. It's about 210 yards, beautiful downhill par 3, just straight as can be. It's a 200-yard par 3. I had, if I recall correctly, 90 yards in for my second. I dead shanked it off a tee, and I was almost on the first or whatever hole's parallel to the right. It was so embarrassing. I'm just walking with my head down, but I'm thinking, well, it'd be a great story if I made par. And I chipped it, hit it to like 30 feet, just missed it. But that was, it's pretty tough. Shanking one in a PGA Tour event, walking off, and everyone's like looking at you. You're thinking, is this guy playing for real?
Next question. Ooh, this is quite a lengthy one, boys. What do you think of whether or not golfers should mark their balls? If you mark your ball, how do you mark it? And do you mark a line for putting? What do you think of lines on the ball for putting? So number one, should people mark the golf ball with a Sharpie pen?
I don't see why not.
Well, there's no reason why not.
You have to identify your ball somehow. If you just pull out a Titleist 1 with no dots on it,
Yeah,
how do you know it's yours?
it's absurd.
Put a dot, put a line, put something to...
Initials.
a smiley face. I always like a smiley face because, when things start going awry, which they're inevitably going to.
I am shocked at how few people mark the golf ball. What were you playing?
Just say I'm playing a 2 black dot Titleist or something.
But they don't even know what type of ball they're using.
Yeah, they don't even know what they're doing half the time.
I had a guy that was so stoned the other week, he said he was hitting a white ball. I was like, no, you were hitting a yellow ball.
There's one over there. That one might be yours.
Aye. I says, here you go, here. He goes, no, I was hitting a white ball. I says, no, mate, you were hitting a yellow ball, trust me. And the guy says, oh, he's probably high as a kite.
Or colorblind. Or both.
How do you mark your ball, Eddie?
I'm a 2 dot and a line. I put 2 dots in between the Titleist and the number, and then I put a black Sharpie line on it because basically anywhere from inside to 20 feet, I line my ball up like the majority of people do.
Boo. Chris?
I'm a liner upper as well, so I'll make a little a line, and then I'll put my initials around the ball. Usually a Pro V1X.
Can I just say one thing about the line though? I see so many people trying to perfect their line exactly where they need to put it. And I know this because I was that guy Then one day I realized, it doesn't need to be perfect. I don't need to get over the ball and stand up and pretend like this is exactly where it needs to be. As long as it's in the vicinity, that's all that matters. Don't be trying to be so precise with your line to a spot 20 feet away. You don't need to do that.
If the pros can't hit the line,
correct.
I don't think you can.
And also, actually, how I do it is, so I put the ball, I have my black Sharpie ball, or a Sharpie on the ball, but I face the mark like face down. So there's really only about 1 inch of Sharpie that I could see, and it's on the back of the ball. And the reason I do that is because it helps me. I try to hit that spot on the back of the ball and keep my head down to that spot. And then that way I put the ball down and I line it up kind of where I want to go. But then when I'm over the ball, I can't really see the line. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like underneath. So I just focus basically hitting on that back spot on the ball just to try to make solid contact.
Yeah.
And that allows me to not get so caught up in having to, to perfect the line to where I'm trying to aim it.
Mm-hmm. I think the whole line thing's garbage.
Yeah, a lot of the.
I'm sure there's a study. I'm sure there's a study about people using it within 5-10 feet, and that might matter. But once you start getting past that, it's.
We're talking about pace of play as well. It's absurd. It's like marking the ball from a foot and then relaying it. We're sick of this kind of stuff. But I mark any golf ball. I'll use anything I find. I have hundreds of golf balls, so anything that's a little softer than a Molitor.
Yellow Molitor.
I have 3 dots, bottom right of the number, but I never ever line.
Everyone should identify their ball some way.
100%. And that one came in from a Stacey Worsley, and she is from Bloomington, Minnesota.
Shout out.
Thanks, Stacey. Last question. What is the lowest handicap you have ever heard of? That's from Peter from Belfast in Northern Ireland. The lowest handicap you've ever come across?
While caddying for him?
No, just like in general and playing, caddying.
I've heard of +6s, +8s, just from tour pros when they were in their prime.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine starting the round. It's kind of like in bowling, there's a handicap. If you're doing a team, you're already down 220 pins.
Yeah.
You're just having to fight back, and you're already down 6 shots going into haven't even teed off yet.
Yeah.
Well, I think Chris could verify this, but I believe John Rahm is a +7 at his club in Whisper Rock, or was at a time when he was there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's right, but
wild.
Yeah. So imagine giving up 20 shots to.
I mean, it makes sense because his scoring average on the PGA Tour, say it's 68, 69, and those are obviously difficult conditions. You throw in just an average course, these guys are going to shoot 6-7 under par. So,
do you think the setup for the average PGA Tour course is tough?
Yes.
Really?
They make it tough. They tuck the pins generally. It's all about placement. So for the average public course, they're not putting pins in a position like they would on the PGA Tour because pace of play would just be miserable. So they tuck every which pin. They put them on little slopes and knolls, and they penalize you if you miss. But that's why you see when it rains out or when the course is soft, these guys just terrorize these courses. They just throw darts all day. But if it gets a little firm, they tuck those pins. You better miss in the right spot, or you better not short side yourself, or you're going to have a long day.
Interesting. Okay. Lads, any shout-outs? Anyone you want to say hello to?
I'll say hi to all the Whisper Rock guys that are out and about during the summers. Canada, trying to play some golf themselves. Bandon Dunes, Whistling Straits.
Mm-hmm.
See you guys in a couple months.
Lovely. Eddie?
Shout out to all the people listening out there. Big G for making this happen. And all the fellow loopers out there grinding away who are going to have about a week and a half off because of the U.S. Women's Open this week.
We've had a guy was sending in emails and asking questions.
Okay.
Good questions for the mailbag.
I like the questions.
He called himself Adolf. And I'm like, there's myself and Zabo, like, there's no chance there's someone, what's his real name? Yeah. And then he turns out he comes out and plays. I caddied for him last week, 2 weeks ago. Adolf Corona, his name is. But lovely lad. And we've got some notes written for a future episode about that. Shannon from Arizona. It was a joy.
Yeah.
And her pal, Christy, correct?
Mm-hmm.
She'll be listening. She was the best of the bunch, I thought.
I know. And she hit a shot the other day over the green, but hey, contact, straight.
Eddie, many thanks for jumping in at late notice.
Thank you, boys. Good to be here as
We'll
always.
have you back on soon. Chris, great having you.
Thanks. I'll
keep
come
the
up with
dream
more.
dreaming.
I know. Keep the dreamers going, and we'll see if there's any kids with any ailments, and see if they're doing all right.
Gluten free.
Yeah.
What was wrong with them?
Gluten, Gary, and old dairy.
Gluten dairy. What can he eat? Nothing.
It's always fun seeing the kids, like their parents are very like proper, and this like this kid for lunch, he didn't want a sandwich, had like 4 Snickers. He probably wasn't allowed to have chocolate, and he was just like off the moon. And then like 3 hours later on the back nine, he's like
crawling.
just
so psyched to be out there at camp because it's candy time.
Right?
Oh man.
Parents aren't telling him what to eat.
But yeah, listen, thank you for all your questions. Thanks to the listeners. Check out Big Game Golf, our sponsor. Download the app. And if you have any questions, please email them in, podcast@glorifieddonkey.com. Many thanks for listening. Get out there, enjoy your golf, but more importantly, keep it humble.